Hello and welcome back to my garden. If you can't tell, we've had a bit of rain. If my math is correct, I think we've gotten something like 6 inches of rain in the past 5 days, and there's more rain coming on Saturday. And you guys are probably watching this on Friday. So the day after you watch this, there'll be yet more rain on the weekend. The ground, I've spoken about this many times, where I am here in Eastern North Carolina is it's a lot of built up silt, clay, dense sand. It's just absolute garbage. And what happens then is when it rains, we get this. The water accumulates on the surface. It will drain. It just takes a while to push through all of the sediments and the clay layer and et cetera, et cetera. So this right here will probably take 2 to 3 days minimal to dry. The rest of the property is kind of just as bad with various wet spots. I posted, I think, a couple of photos up on Instagram the past couple of days. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, go over to Instagram, give it a follow. It's just a wet, muddy mess. You can even tell I'm wearing my tall boots here because if I wore my short boots, my pant legs would get wet and it's a whole thing. So I'm wearing the tall boots. Let me show you the potting bench area. So as you can see here, I'm standing here by the potting bench, and this is one of the reasons why I want to do a patio. So even if it does get covered with water, at least it won't be as slippy because this is just a muddy mess, or will become a muddy mess the more I walk on it. The potting bench is emptying off. The staging area has all sorts of various boxwood cuttings right now, and I did put out my verbena cuttings because they're doing very well right now. But again, we haven't had our last freeze, and chances are we will get a freeze before before spring is actually here. And my last frost date is somewhere supposed to be between the 1st and the 10th of April, allegedly, maybe. We'll see what Mother Nature throws at us. We may not get another freeze for the rest of the year. We may get a freeze. We may get several days of freezes. Who knows? But in the meantime, I've put the boxwood cuttings and the privet cuttings out. They're doing quite well. If it does look like we're getting a severe freeze, I'll put all of that, I'll stuff it into the greenhouse somehow. It may go sit on the floor of the greenhouse, but it'll go into the greenhouse just to keep the frost off of it. Anyways, enough of my prattling. Let's see what's going on in the greenhouse. Okay, so here in the greenhouse, we're about 90 degrees right now. I have both roof vents open, and my little solar-powered fan behind me here is blowing. It doesn't blow a lot of air, but it just helps, and every little bit helps. We have not had freezing nighttime temperatures now in about 2 weeks, and there's nothing on the 10 to 14 day forecast. But again, that doesn't mean we won't get those freezing temperatures. So now it's a balancing game between what can I be growing here in the greenhouse without cooking it, a la seedlings, versus if I put stuff outside and we do get those freezes, it's going to become an issue. I've mentioned all this before, so it's just a bit of a balancing act right now. And air does move through here. So right now, all the seedlings are okay. I just have to keep my eye on them so far as watering. I am watering twice a day, once in the morning, once in the evening. Over here, I have a lot of my foxgloves. I just recently started up-potting them, so I was taking them from their little trays that they've been in, such as maybe this one. This is a Gigantica Gerber Herald foxglove. So now this one I'll probably be repotting next week. So I'll be up-potting it, I should say. I'll be up-potting it, taking it out of this tray and putting it into individual pots to grow on. And here's an obvious example to you guys of some of the ones that I have up-potted. They're very small, but they will stay in these containers until they're ready to get planted out. I've noticed that some people on the internet, some gardeners, and let me know in the comments below what you guys do, but some people will turn around and do multiple pot-ups. So they'll put them into very small containers, or they'll basically wait for them to get root bound in the container that they're in, such as this one. So before they up-pot these, and these are growing pretty fast, giant purple zinnias, these I'll probably start up-potting next week, but some people may wait until they get a lot of big full leaves and they almost get root bound, and then they'll pot them up. And I've seen some people where they'll put them into a tiny pot and then I'll pop them again into a bigger pot before then planting them out someplace. Before we continue further, I just want to give a big thanks to everybody who left a comment in the last couple of videos. Thank you to all the new subscribers. I think we've gotten something like 30 this past month, which is great. Channel's growing slowly, but we're getting there. We're building up, we're getting there. I'm hoping to hit 1,000 this year. We'll see. Tell your friends, families, loved ones. Grumpy old guy across the street. There's a lot that's going to be happening in the garden this year. As you can tell, I have a lot of various boxwood cutting and privet cuttings. Some of them will actually be going out in the garden. I've purchased various different plants this year, and I have a bunch of stuff, bare root, that's coming in from Arbor Day Foundation. So there'll be a lot of different plantings going around. Plus the development of the new flower beds this year. And we'll probably want to be doing weeding maintenance and some other maintenance in the rose garden as well. Again, there's just a lot going on in the garden, and the garden is growing, and that's all awesome. So again, thank you to everybody who leaves comments. It all helps the channel, helps the algorithm, all that good fun stuff. Today, what am I sowing? I'm going to be sowing Heliopsis Summer Nights. So I'm going to plant some out in a tray, and we'll see what germinates. And at that point, then I can decide whether I want to keep 2, 10, 20, the whole tray. Who knows what will happen. So these are going to be surface sow. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're just going to sprinkle them right on top. Oh, well, these seeds are huge. I don't know what I was honestly expecting from these, but they are quite large. So I will be sowing the entire seed packet. And if there's 20 here, I'd be impressed. I'm just going to give them a little press into the potting mix here, just so they have a good contact. Water and label. The next seeds I'm going to do, I absolutely love. So do the deer, apparently, and I always get mixed results. It's going to be coneflower. I'm going to do 2 different types of coneflower. I'm going to do the standard purple coneflower, and I'm going to be doing green twister. Now the standard purple coneflower, I don't know about you guys, but I have a better success rate, if that's the word. Yeah. So yeah, I have a better success rate with the standard purple. And the green twister, I have a terrible success rate with. So last year I grew green twister. I think out of an entire tray, I may have gotten 4 plants. So I probably sowed, I don't know, let's say 100 seeds. I only got 4 plants. Water, and it's label. Oops, I forgot the right dates. Okay, so I'll put these over here. Now I sowed both the purple coneflowers in small pots like these. I don't know how many I'll keep. I'll probably not want to keep a lot. Again, I do love them, but so do the deer. So maybe I'll keep 4 if I have enough that germinate. I don't know. We'll find out in a few weeks. But if you guys have had problems sowing green twister or any other coneflower, let me know in the comments below. The last thing we wanted to plant, I know I've seen many YouTubers already plant, and I feel like I'm a little behind, but I think I'm also okay. Let me explain. Out in the raised beds, I have red onions currently. Now, the bulbs haven't really started forming, but it's probably because of the winter time with the freezes and whatnot. It slows the growth of the plant, but they're still alive, which is great. So I'm thinking that in the next few weeks, especially after we get past that last frost, that the bulbs will just pop out because they have plenty of top growth, and I'm sure they have plenty of roots. Again, I'm in growing zone 8B. My ground doesn't freeze. So we get freezes and we get frosts, but it's not enough. We don't get enough, consistently enough, that the ground will ever freeze here. So like I said, hopefully in the next few weeks, those bulbs just go boop. Maybe end of May, early June, I'll have red onions to harvest. What I have been doing the last few years, starting onions here in the greenhouse, and what I'll do is I'll fill up a small tray of these like this, and I'll just sprinkle them in, and I'll probably get about a dozen or more easily out of this tray, a dozen to 2 dozen out of this tray. And when they're looking like little grassy things after their first true leaves come in, which is kind of tough to tell with an onion, then I will prick them out and I will transplant them out into the raised beds. So that will probably be, I'm going to guess mid-May, or maybe early May. So figure about let's say early May. So early May, I'll prick them out, put them out into the beds, but by that time I may be pulling my red onions. And those onions that I plant out in May will probably be ready for harvest between the heat and the sun and the rain. Will probably be ready for harvest, let's see, May, June, was it July? July or early August. But today I'm sowing my onions for springtime. My camera just overheated, which is weird, and it looks like it's about to do it again. So yeah, the first seeds I sowed was red rock onions. Now I've tried them before. I think I had mixed results. Gonna try them again, see what happens. While my camera was cooling from overheating, I planted Walla Wallas, and then I did hybrid yellow candy onion. So if you've never grown this variety before, if you have grown this variety before, if you've grown any onions before, please let me know in those comments below. But to plant in this tray, I had to up pot my Verbena Sensation White, which were in that tray. So gave me an excuse to up pot these because I needed it for the candy onions. And there you go. It's juggling with the resources that you have. I didn't sow a lot this week, but that doesn't mean we're done seed sowing. Oh no. There's blackberry lily, lobelia, turmeric. That's going to be an exciting one. I've never grown turmeric before. If you guys grown turmeric, again, leave those comments below. Let's see, dark opal basil. I grew that last year and I used it as a decorative plant. It's a basil. It just has a dark purple leaf, but I used it as a decorative plant out in the garden in a couple of different places. The deer don't eat it and it looks pretty cool. Then they'll be sowing agapanthus. I have agapanthus coming up. Globe thistle, and then I'll be sowing the first of my raised bed crops for the season, which is peas. Now they'll be planted before the last freeze, but peas take a little while to germinate. So you can plant them a week or 2 weeks before your last freeze. By the time they start coming up, the freeze should have passed, everything will be fine, life is good. My wet little dog is back. Yeah, you're wet. She was laying over in the grass off camera there, and now she's a little wet because everything's wet because, again, we've had like 6 inches of rain in the past 5 days and much of it hasn't drained away. Hopefully by next week the area everything starts really drying out, because one of the things that is going gangbusters is the grass and the weeds. So I have to start mowing the lawn, believe it or not. I'm in March and yes, that's a B. I'm in March and I have to start mowing the lawn, but that's the way it goes down here in Eastern North Carolina. So if you guys have any questions, comments, etc., leave them below. If there's anything that you're planting now this time of year that you'd like to share with the class, please, again, leave those comments below. Please check out all the links below. You know where they are. And I think that's about it for today. I'm going to catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.